Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai hara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, te kore mako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, born in Gore and raised in Hāwera, she has carved an incredible sporting journey through basketball, from local courts to representing Aotearoa Māori to competing overseas in NCAA Division I level in the United States. These days, her focus is on giving back, creating pathways and uplifting the next generation through kaupapa Māori sport, including her role in the creation of Whiti Poitūkohu, Ngāruahine Basketball Academy dedicated to shining a light on iwi talent. Kayla Manuirirangi, nau mai hara mai.
Kia ora, tēnā koe te rangatira, e mihi ana mō tēnei kōrero miharo, bit of an intro there, but nō ki te whiwhi ki te kōrero ki a koe, I te rānei. Ko waiau, ko Kayla Manuirirangi tōku ingoa, he uri no te tonga o Taranaki, me te taho tōku koro, no Ngāruahine, Ngāti Roanui, te taho tōku koia, no Ngāti Tūwhareto, Ngāti Rangi, me Ngāti Kahungu.
Yeah, good. Awesome. Hey, good to have you on the show. Really, really keen to have a kōrero about the amazing kaupapa that's been set up. But first and foremost, want to get to know you a little bit more. So let's start at the beginning, where you were raised in Hāwera. Hāwera's home for you. What was sport like for you growing up in Hāwera, and what did your kind of early sporting world look like?
Yeah, cool. So I guess speaking to my kind of upbringing, our parents were always big on trying lots of different things. We were always outside. Spent a bit of my upbringing on the farm too. So we were always just real active kids, real outdoorsy, played heaps of different sports growing up, primary school, intermediate. But then when I was just the end of intermediate, about the age of 12 or 13, decided to just commit to basketball. I had a coach that tapped my dad on the shoulder and just asked if he could coach my sister and I, and my brother as well. So was really privileged to be identified at that age. And then, just made the decision from the start of high school to just commit to basketball. So for a lot of my high school, it was very much just basketball. Absolutely loved it. Loved the variation of skill with the mental component. It was just, first love for me.
Awesome. Well, and we're going to talk to basketball, but what were some of those other sports that you played as a youngster, before basketball kind of became the main focus?
Well, if we start on the farm, we used to tackle sheep, so you could count that as a bit of a starting point there. But actual organised sport, bit of hockey, but that was too cold. I didn't like holding a hockey stick in Stratford on a cold Saturday morning, so that wasn't for me. That kind of cut out outdoor sports. I played a bit of touch. Now, I love touch, but I just didn't stick with it long enough. But played a bit of touch. We did gymnastics. I was a soccer goalie at one point in intermediate. I have no idea how that happened. And actually through high school, I did competed in 400 meters and triple jump. So, bit of variety, but I'm probably one of the only wahine that never played netball.
Wow.
So, our coach, he was like... It was it's a very different sport. So that's probably something that's quite unique about me, is I never played netball.
Wow. Yeah. Unreal. Because a lot of our young kōtero do. So, but who were some of your role models? Obviously, basketball was a love that you found. Who were some of your role models kind of growing up in your sporting life that kind of helped shape your journey?
Yeah, I definitely think my siblings, you talk about role models and it's like, you've got your NBA players. Like if we're looking at that, people like Steve Nash, who were the smaller players, but they required a lot more skill level and just their IQ, being a point guard myself. So you look at players like that, your Steph Curry's, those people that are way, way in the distance. But for me, growing up as the youngest of four, I just loved going to war with my siblings in the backyard. So like for me, they were the role models there. And then my parents kind of modeling hard work always for us growing up. So probably not your typical answer of role model, but for me, it was that. There were, a couple of the older girls from Taranaki who I'd known of, like Te Rai Sadler and Zoe Kensington, were the two that I knew that had gone to college in America, had played for New Zealand. So having those ones to kind of have a bit of a path paved. But when I got recruited, probably almost, golly, that sounds ages, almost 15 years ago, not a lot of people were going to college. So a lot of my struggle was like, oh, I don't know how to get there. So and another reality of being rural as well, or smaller area, is there aren't heaps of role models that look like you, that have had the same upbringing as you, have come from the same place, and then are going where you want to go. So there was the challenge of that too.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Yeah, you're right with those role models at home is where it's at, and you have those role models within your own whare that help help you on that journey, which is really important. Now, basketball became like clearly a passion of yours. What is it exactly that you love about the game of basketball? What is it about basketball that's so good?
I think as someone who's creative, I loved what kind of magic you can create with, like, the tricks that you can do with the basketball. I think because we started training out at Solly's house just outside of Hāwera, and we went through all the little 1-ball, 2-ball drills, and I just really caught on to the creativity and the expression that you could do with a basketball. So there's that part, and then there's once again, being youngest of four, like the competitiveness of the sport. It requires a high skill level, so I like stuff that challenges hand-eye and in combination with being creative. So I think those little things, when I think back to why I loved it, I think that was quite a big reason for me. And yeah, just you've got to be able to dribble, you've got to be able to pass, shoot, finish at the rim, defend bigger players, defend smaller, quicker players. And then when you get to the higher level, there's the layers of offensive structures, understanding concepts, watching film. So, I think as I grew, my realization that the game grew as well. Like, so you never quite felt like you mastered the sport. And I think it always kind of kept me interested. Because I'm a bit of a hotatu, so I can get bored quite quickly. So feeling like, I can just keep trying different things. I think that was a big part for me.
Awesome. And part of that trying different things will be learning, growing and developing as you progress through your career. Now, your talent took you overseas to the United States to play in the NCAA Division I basketball. What was that experience like for you, both on the court, but off the court as well? And how did it challenge you?
Great question. Loaded question, because it's 4 years of just like I think of that period as like the best years of my life. We're going to play, like, we're in the same conference as UConn, who were the number one team in the nation. You went to their stadium, you're walking in, you've got like Diana Taurasi on the walls, and you're walking in through their locker room, and then you're coming to the stadium and there's 7,000 people there. So you've got, charter flights, so Nike kit, everything's covered and paid for. And in one sense, you're living the dream, but in the other sense, you're away from your whānau, you're homesick, you've got no real autonomy over your own schedule. You're full-time student, full-time athlete. The demands of that Division I lifestyle get to you. So it was very much the best years of my life, but the absolute hardest years of my life. It was, I look back on that period and I'm just like, got through that, I can get through anything. But definitely the pace of the game. Like, we talk about window of opportunities in sport. Maybe in New Zealand at a high school level, you might have a 5-second window to shoot an open three. In college, that window you might get the ball. It might be a 1-second window, which you can make that read. So the speed of the game, the athleticism of the players over there, just how competitive and intense every single training is every single day, really takes its toll on you. And we're pretty chilled, laid back people. So the intensity and having people yelling in your face, if you're not used to that kind of communication style, you've got to grow a thick skin pretty quickly. So the entire experience was just so new, and the recruitment process as well was pretty amazing. So like, I'd signed up for an American recruiting agency at the time. They sent my film out to college coaches, and then within a day or two got like probably 100 or something emails from schools offering, full 4-year ride scholarships based on like a 2-minute video of me they've seen, which is crazy because that kind of money, you can be around $500,000 in American dollars. So, on one hand, it's so exciting, but then it's also, as an 18-year-old, like, how do you navigate through essentially what's like a pro contract? So yeah, it's a whole world that a lot of Kiwi kids going over come in very unaware of what they're stepping into.
Wow, what an amazing journey, and some really good advice for any of our listeners at home that might be looking at heading over to America for some college basketball and whatnot. So awesome kōrero. But make sure to stay tuned with us, whānau. We're going to be back to speak with Kayla shortly, more about Whiti Poitūkohu, the amazing kaupapa for Ngāruahine Basketball Academy. So make sure to stay tuned. Kia ora koutou wānau, welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, Te Kore Mako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, we're having an awesome kōrero here with Kayla. She's taken us on a bit of a journey, her basketball journey over to America. And now we're going to talk about some of the amazing mahi that she's doing back home here. Now, firstly, before we get into Whiti Poitūkohu, I want to have a kōrero. Now, you've represented Māori and New Zealand at different levels. What does it mean to you to represent your culture and whakapapa through sport?
Yeah, good question. So I think growing up, I always wanted to play for New Zealand. Putting a black jersey on was the ultimate goal. So had the privilege of being able to do that from under 16s all the way to under 19s, and did a little stint with the Tall Ferns when I came back from America. But so that was for New Zealand team. It was really special because last year was the first year I played for New Zealand Māori. And for me, that was really special because I did a full immersion, like didn't grow up immersed in Te Ao Māori, did a full immersion course when I came back from college. And so to reconnect with my whakapapa, to be able to kōrero te reo Māori I etahi wā, and just to stand more in my, I guess, Māoritanga, it meant that much more last year to play for the New Zealand Māori because, and it was quite ironic because I played in the exact same stadium 10 years earlier in the New Zealand jersey. But I feel like when I played in the New Zealand jersey, like I wasn't connected to my taha Māori as much as I am now. And so to have that, to be back in that kind of high performance environment, to play for Māoris and be in that space knowing my taha Māori now, it was cool because I've taken a few years away from the sport to find my identity outside of sport, because when you grow up and sport is everything, you realize how much of who you are is grounded in how good you played your last game. Those kōrero that you're told you're only as good as your last game, and that can actually be quite damaging later on for a kid that thinks they are only worthy because of how well they can play a game, which we're human. We can't play a perfect game all the time. So having an identity grounded in something outside of sport performance, it just felt really cool. It was really freeing to actually just play and not feel the pressure to perform and be perfect, because we're not as humans.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. What a feeling. Well, after returning home, your focus has shifted, toward giving back. How important is it for you to, turn your experiences into opportunities for others?
Yeah. Well, it's quite funny because last year I had the privilege of going on a couple different Indigenous haerenga overseas, and on those journeys kind of thinking about how the question is, okay, how do you give back to your own community? And for someone like myself, I can't really go back into the hapu space and be an accountant that helps on the board level, or like what skill set can I bring that actually helps nurture and support our wānau hapu iwi space in a way that's like, okay, this is something that I can contribute that's beneficial. And I think so end of last year, myself, I went on a haere to Taiwan for an Indigenous games, and there I got the privilege to connect with Te Atua, Te Mata Frost, and Te Wihi Wright, and we realized, hey, we're all from Ngāruahine, we all love sport, Te Wihi with his he's just the man at all of his cultural identity stuff in high performance sport, working with Māori's rugby. Te Atua being a former pro player, amazing coach at Manikura, and yeah, we all kind of connected. We're like, what are we doing? We're like, can we do something to combine? So we had heaps of wānanga over there. We called them our hapu hui while we were over in Taiwan. And so kind of out of all of that corridor came this idea of Whiti Poitūkohu. So kind of stemming from the corridor of e kore e piri te kuki te reno, ka whiti ki nei te rā ka ngahoro. And Whiti being, I wish Te Wihi Wright was on here because his way of describing our whole kaupapa is so poetic. So I'll try and do my best. But this whole idea of shining light on the rangatahi that we have back home, there's a lot of talent that I think falls through the gaps due to factors like rurality. Maybe you're not an Auckland-based athlete, so you don't get the same high-performance opportunities. Maybe it's, a lot of people, high-performance stuff isn't in the smaller centres. It's more in the bigger centres that gets the focus and attention. So we were kind of like, okay, how do we bring high performance to Hāwera? And also, that's one component of it, but more importantly, cultural identity and what is your ngāruahinetanga, and how can that be a really great, strong foundation and base for rangatahi going into that space. And I even think back to my journey, I wonder if I had have been more grounded in my taha Māori before I went overseas, what that experience would have been like. It might still have been just as challenging, I don't know, but for people to know where they come from, I think is the biggest strength, and to be grounded in that. So we're running a camp in April, so coming up very shortly. So this is a bit of a pilot for us. We're just seeing how it goes. Got the support of Te Ukaipo and Ngāruahine, so very grateful to the iwi and that for helping support this kaupapa. But yeah, it's exciting. We're wanting to start this, but then the hope is, okay, it's also a wero, how do we continue to nurture? If we're doing this camp, how do we then continue to nurture back and tending to the soils back home, I guess you could say. So that's a bit of a rundown of that kaupapa, but very excited, and we'll hopefully have some cool people be a part of that and feature.
Wow, what an amazing kaupapa, and so cool to see people like yourself and others giving back to the community, to our rangatahi. How can people how can our rangatahi get involved? What's the best way for them to find out information and reach out to kind of see if they can jump on board?
So we have a Instagram page and we have a Facebook page, Whiti Poitūkohu. And the iwi have shared some of our kaupapa online as well. So registrations have closed, but we hope to continue even further. But I mean, if a rangatahi listening wants to register, we will try and fit in whoever we can. But yeah, just wanting to provide whatever opportunities we can for whoever's home and keen.
Beautiful. Well, for all of our listeners at home, make sure you check it out. What an amazing kaupapa for our rangatahi, led by some very amazing people, uri of our tauheke maunga. But Kayla, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your journey and your whakaaro with us today. From elite basketball to kaupapa Māori leadership, it's just inspiring to see how you're using the sport to uplift others and create pathways, beautiful pathways for the next generation. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to watching your journey moving forward.
Oh, kia ora. Thank you very much for your time. It was awesome to call.